Hi, friends. Welcome back to ArcheTAP, where each week we chat about, tap on, and meditate with a different archetype. Right now, we are working our way through the major arcana of the Tarot, and we are halfway through. We're on card number 10 tonight with the Wheel of Fortune. Before we jump into the Wheel of Fortune and everything that it has to offer, I like to start this class just by reading Richard Rudd, who wrote the Gene Keys definition of what an archetype is and what we're doing here each week. An archetype is a compressed idea containing many dimensions of meaning, imagery, and feeling. Archetypes resonate with deep universal themes, regardless of race, genetics, conditioning. These themes can be found in the unconscious mind of all humans. And when you continuously contemplate on an archetype, it has the capacity to transform your vibration from a lower state to a higher state of consciousness. In any time that we are doing work like this, where we are actively working on changing the rate of our vibration, we are benefiting all beings around the universe. So it's to the benefit of all that we meet here each week, and I'm so glad that we're doing this. So, okay, Wheel of Fortune, jumping right in. The Wheel of Fortune is card number 10. So if you were born in the month of October, then this is your inner essence, and I was. So I've really had a lot of fun putting this class together. Sip of coffee, sorry. Like I said, this is the halfway point between, so it really went quick. Isn't that funny? According to Jonathan Randolph Price, the angel associated with the Wheel of Fortune is the angel of cycles and solutions. It's ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is the controller of fate. Jupiter has the power to bring good into our individual lives. Good guy. In Greek mythology, this was Zeus. And the Wheel of Fortune is found in the second ray. If you follow anything about the 7 rays, this is found in the second one. So it's about love and wisdom. What else? Some keywords to describe this card: change, cycles, ups and downs, centering, impermanence, luck. It's karmic, it's spontaneous, and this archetype is subtle and wise. Now, some more negative keywords associated with this archetype: destabilized, unlucky, childish, anxious, agitated, stagnant, chaotic, history repeating itself. Life is a roller coaster and you're just sort of getting flung around on the edges. Okay, so let's take a look at these two versions of the card, get into some of the symbols that we find in them. So this one is the Sphinx code, and this one over here is the universal weight card. So you can see that there is a wheel in the center. On top is this cool Sphinx looking dude. There's a red jackal and a snake coming down, and then these guys in the corners are representing some form of wisdom, but we're not going to really mess much with them for today. If you read this lettering in this card, it either spells tarot or rhoda. Rhoda also translates to wheel. This card, pretty similar. It's so holographic. Sometimes I worry it can't even really be picked up well on camera. Little bit of difference. This snake in this card is coming down the center pole, and there's an actual demon and a jackal on each side of the wheel. Really cool Sphinx on top. So these cards, these symbols rather, the wheel is cycles, life cycles, every type of, introverted, extroverted cycles, spring, summer, and fall, lunar cycles, like every type of cycle that is possible is found within this archetype. The Sphinx that sits on top of the wheel expresses the highest expression of humanity possible. Uh, it holds and balances. It's a very primitive form of wisdom, very spiritual, definitely is representing all aspects of our consciousness, wisdom, eternal knowledge, balance between opposing forces. All of these keywords kind of are represented in that symbol of the Sphinx. The demon or the snake in the other card represent distractions, definitely addictive type of behavior, uncontrollable cravings, desires like that. What some religions would maybe call evil, but really is just, a pattern of behavior. It's usually quite sabotagey, is found under the snake. So, and then the dog or the jackal, death, fear of the past, fear of the future. He is a good guy, though. He's leading, he's a guide for the soul. And the three themes that I want to talk about within this card mostly change. That learning how this archetype is helping us learn how to accept change better and better all the time. Everything is always in flux, everything is always in flow. Change is wonderful. And also sometimes we really, really want to avoid it because it's so fucking uncomfortable. Other major theme of this card, cycles. Again, seasons, weather, lunar, ups, downs. Life is a series of these things, and this card is helping to ground us in that kind of information. And then the third theme that we want to talk about is being centered and grounded, being centered within ourselves. If I am in the eye of the storm, so to speak, if I'm in the very center of this wheel, then I'm going to be pretty steady. While it's spinning, the centrifugal forces aren't going to really knock me around too much. But if I'm standing on the edge of the wheel, I might get flung off into life. And gosh, can I not see that theme in my own life in reflection, which is why studying for this class has been so much fun to put together. But so yeah, we want to be comfortable in the middle, in the flow, watching life, so that we don't get knocked around too badly. So until we reach a higher state of consciousness, we really do endure the ebb and the flow of life. It feels like life knocks us around, and it does. And the feelings that come with that are important to feel and to recognize that they're there. But the truth is, for sure, the only place to go is up. We really got falsely programmed with the fall of man, with the snake archetypal story, rather. And even if we didn't grow up religious, sometimes that story still gets embedded in genetic programming. It's kind of etched into our subconscious mind, in the universal mind kind of way. And it always makes us look down or over our shoulder to just, when's the other shoe gonna drop? When's my misfortune coming? I know life can't be this good type of, because no one's it, or whatever. Like, we don't see any evidence really. So, but again, the truth is that the law states that we are always in an expansive state. So if that is true and the wheel is a spiral, then the spiral is moving up, up and away, always, even when it doesn't feel like it. So how is it possible that we constantly feel stuck in the briar's patch down in the ravine? And there's two reasons for that, really. There's two reasons. One reason, you do actually have to be aware of the law. or the law won't really apply to you. So now that we know it's law, the spiral is always moving upward, then it's always one expansion after another. So even when it looks like it's pointing down, it's not, it's always moving up until you reach a state of illumination, if that's your goal. The second reason is you have guilt left over from some imagined wrongdoing. Some part of you unconsciously that feels that you deserve punishment for your behavior. So if you think that any of that might be holding you back or keeping you on the edges of the wheel, feeling like life is constantly bringing you back to the same patterns, then this might be our new mantra of, the spiral is always moving upward is sort of my new mantra these days. The spiral is always moving upward. And I can find a lot of trust in that. Honestly, it feels good to think that thought. It's a very calming, centering thing. So try that out if you feel up to it. Because we have to understand deeply that we never make mistakes in life, in eternal life, especially. What you did at any certain level of consciousness was consciousness in action, and you had no choice but to do what you did at the time, because that's where you were. Kind of going back to, we're always doing the best. Everyone is always doing the best that they can, even when it doesn't seem like it. Even, if we could do better, we would do better. That's a no-brainer. So we're always doing the best we can. There's guilt, pointless. So whatever we need to do to exercise the guilt from our systems, we got to make that choice. So let's look a little bit closer at life cycles now. So we think of a spiral. I know that this card is a wheel, but if we're thinking of it as a spiral that's moving up, ever upward into the cosmos, it is, gonna curve up. We expand. We kind of plateau for a while, and then we dip back down, and that feels really shitty. And then we're up, and now we're up higher than we were before, and then we curve back down, but it's never not moving upward. And I think if we can really get that through our head, then the Wheel of Fortune really works in our favor. And the keywords like luck and spontaneous change don't feel scary. They feel like lasting components of our makeup, that we can really deeply trust, which to me is super exciting. So this is life. Each coil is an expansion in consciousness. So even the low parts of it are something to be incredibly grateful for. We synchronize with this archetype and life by design, by identifying with it. It immediately puts you in your boat. And now you're floating with the current. You've found some alignment by even thinking about what it might be like to find alignment. From an Abraham Hicks point of view, they've got a little cute story that's like, we all accidentally try to make life so much harder than it has to be. So we've got our canoe, and we put our canoe down in the stream, and then we point our canoe upstream, and boy, do we get tired quick, right? Like, we can get somewhere. We can. Through sheer force of will, we will make our way. Or we could turn the boat around and go with the current and get where we're going so much faster because we found alignment first with the energy that makes up universal consciousness, because we are in agreement with all parts of ourselves. And that is the most satisfying feeling. Yeah. Okay. Our issue is that we are often focused on the world around us, and almost exclusively. It's so hard to not pay attention to what is going on in our outer reality, and it feels true. We forget to concentrate on the spiral, and which is consciousness, which is the cause, which is the creation of everything that we see out here in our outer reality. So we are the causal slash creator of our life. And it's so important to remember this law in low seasons when you're feeling unproductive, inactive, accomplishing nothing, quote unquote, any experience of a contractive type state. Winter is a beautiful example. This is hibernation time. This isn't go forth into the world time. Anytime there's a contraction, it is a gathering of power, which is something really, I think a takeaway from this class that is really worth noting. The spiral is always moving up. A contraction is always building power. So what's most helpful is that we have a very clear picture of what we desire. And sometimes we even sabotage that. I find myself, unable to even kind of do that work. So I obviously have some maybe self-esteem type stuff to keep working on, I'm sure. But so this means that even if we feel restricted, there's no reason to be alarmed. That if we're in a melancholy state, the melancholy is purposeful and there's nothing to be upset about. In fact, it's really imperative that we stop the horror movies from rolling in our mind of what might happen. And it's so easy to do. Most of us are so easily programmed to be excellent at daydreaming worst case scenarios and find it much more challenging to daydream positive case scenarios, So it's like that's really where some work comes in. I think it's important to remember to just always go back to the spiral. Again, I don't think I can say it enough in this class. The spiral is always moving up. Everything is always working out for me. And we have to use our creative imagination. The clearest picture of joyful fulfillment of exactly what we want in every single area of our lives. If we're having thoughts like, this is just too good to be true, this good won't last, I just know something bad is going to happen, it always does, we have to ask for help when we find ourselves in that type of mindset. This is really where the angel of cycles and solutions can become so incredibly helpful and handy to surrender these problems and hand them over. They will help us shift our attitude, help connect us to a more powerful, helpful thought, and in just general, reconnect you to your higher version of you. He really inspires surrender in that way. So, okie dokie, I think got kind of all of the key stuff. Yeah, let's do some tapping. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Sitting up nice and tall. If you're in a chair, maybe have your feet grounded on the floor. If you're sitting cross-legged, just having your shoulders over your hips so that the energy is running nicely up your spine. Start tapping on this side of the hand. You will mimic my movements and repeat after me. Take a nice, big, deep letting go breath. So I came to Earth School. I gave myself a name. gave myself a body and a personality. I also gave myself a bunch of overlapping experiences that I then called my life. My motto was just make the best of it. Which means that I am learning how to deal with the cards that I have been dealt. That even though I'm not always as happy as possible in this strange Earth school, I have developed some comfort zones. Contentment, security, and expectations. All of these things felt like home to me. But the universe doesn't know about boxes. My high self cannot be contained to a finite space. Its stretch is infinite. So even though I became possessed by my own possessions, and I don't like change, so I tried to dip my life in concrete. I choose to deeply and completely love and accept and forgive myself. Okay, top of the head. I like my comfort zones. And I like my possessions. Sometimes my possessions are just my stories. I've gotten really attached to my stories. I've always made the best of it. Happy as possible. Considering the cards I was dealt. But the truth is, life is an upward moving spiral. And any limits I've placed on my life, the universe just does not understand. So I am choosing to stay open, ready for change. Because change is going to have its way, no matter what. I can get on the bus or I can be dragged by the bus. So I might as well consent to the ride. We are on the Ferris wheel of fortune. So I'm choosing to be flexible. I am willing to be moldable. And I am intending to find alignment between my personality and my higher self. Every day, I am getting better and better at staying in the center of the wheel. I am getting better every day at trusting life deeply. Life is full of changes and cycles. Even when things seem uncertain, even when it feels I'm wildly out of control, I am learning to embrace the changes that come my way. And so it is. All right, so hopefully now we've kind of implanted some of that information that we chatted about at first into our genetic matrix. Now let's see if we can't tap into this archetype and have a little conversation. So check back in with your posture, lay down if you'd like to. Let your eyelids go heavy. We'll take a few breaths together. So exhale all of the air out of your lungs. Take one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Then inhale through the nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it at the top. Exhale through the nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Inhale through the nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Exhale through the nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Sip in a little bit more air, maybe even a little bit more. Exhale through the nose. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Press any last remaining bits of air out of the bottom of the lungs. Big, deep belly breath in through the nose. Open your mouth and let it go. Big, deep belly breath in through the nose. Open your mouth and let it go. Good. Okay. Hands can relax down to your lap or by your sides. Let your eyelids stay heavy. Find your breath pace that is slow and relaxed. Quickly scanning your body, noticing any places that might still be holding tension and asking them to release. Every breath, your body becomes a little bit more relaxed. In your mind's eye, picture yourself standing at the edge of a lush forest. You're barefoot, The ground beneath your feet is really soft. The air is filled with sounds of birds and leaves rustling in a gentle breeze. The air smells as if it was just raining. That amazing musky smell. Pathway opens up in front of you. You take off down this path, feeling relaxed, feeling wonder as you look around. Every step that you take deeper into this forest finds even more relaxation. You eventually come to a clearing, a circle cut out in the middle of this forest. In the center is this magnificent spiraling wheel. It's reaching upward towards the sky. It's shimmering, this iridescent gold light as the sun hits it. It's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. You feel drawn to the spiral. As you approach it, you notice that it's almost gently moving, the way that it's glistening. It's almost alive. You take a step up onto the wheel and then onto the spiral itself. You're deeply calm. Every step as you gently move upward, more balance washes over you, more confidence. The spiral is guiding you upward towards an even higher state of consciousness, to a state of peace and harmony and joy. As you ascend the spiral, a figure approaches you. This is the angel of cycles and solutions. They are a being of light and wisdom. Maybe in your mind's eye, you see a very traditional looking angel. Maybe they come to you in the form of that wise sphinx that was on the card, but just trust whatever image comes to mind. The angel begins to walk beside you. They match your pace and a sense of peace, just like you've never felt before. You ask the angel if it's okay to chat. The angel explains that if you think back in your life, there were negative changes that eventually produced positive changes. And that the opposite is also true. There were positive changes that eventually led to negative changes. The angel is asking you to understand that concept. So now asking the angel, what helps me stay centered? What helps me stay in the center of the wheel? What works best for me? Feel free to write that information down in your mind's eye, like on a piece of paper, and then put it in your left front pocket. And then ask this angel, how can I develop my relationship with change so that it isn't so scary? Stay here, walking this spiral that is ever moving upward, having a conversation with the angel for as long as it feels good. Write down any information that you want to. When your conversation comes to an end, thank the angel for coming. Turn around, and the spiral has now become a slide. You can slide safely all the way back down to the 3D life, coming out, feeling relaxed, understanding even better how it all works. Cheers, and I will see you next week for the force, for strength.